On this week's episode of Marketing O'Clock.
Good news for bad advertisers. You can now opt into auto-applied recommendations in Google Ads.
Move over, Lady Gaga. We've got a new analytics tool on the edge.
And Facebook Ads closes the window on 28-day attribution.
Greg delivers no less than 2 fiery rants with plenty of spicy Slim Jim flavored dragon's breath.
I am in my full business costume for all you YouTubers out there.
And speaking of costumes, find out what Glenn Gabe is going to be for Halloween.
All on today's show.
Marketing O'Clock is your weekly dose of digital marketing news, a proud part of the Search Engine Journal Podcast Network. We record every week from the Cypress North Studios located in beautiful Buffalo, New York. Tune in to our critically acclaimed Famous Friday news show for insights, updates, rants, and much more as we cover the full gamut of digital marketing for you. If you want to follow along, just check out our show notes or head over to marketingoclock.com for all of the links from today's articles. And please subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
Hey there, I'm Christine Zernheld.
AKA Shep.
I'm Jess Budd.
And I'm Greg Fenn.
And it is officially Marketing O'Clock.
Here on October 2nd, 2020.
Remember, you can catch our Famous Friday news show each and every Friday morning.
All your digital marketing news from the week.
Powered by the digital marketing community.
And if you want to join the conversation, just hit us up. We are at Marketing O'Clock everywhere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to spooky season on Marketing O'Clock. If you guys are blessed by watching the YouTube stream, it looks like Jess has a special friend this week. What is going on there?
So I'm ready for Halloween. It is officially October. I'm not waiting any longer. I've got this cool witch that came from my husband Chris's grandmother's house. It's old school. I don't have it plugged in, but it's one of those like slow moving, creepy animated things. And then I have a little pumpkin with bright LED lights that I'm not turning on. And then I also have my Dragon's Breath mug with me. It's, for those that are listening, it is orange and white and with a black label that says Dragon's Breath on it.
Oh, I heard Greg had Dragon's Breath today because all he ate was a Slim Jim.
That's all I had today. That's a spicy Slim Jim. That's it. So
that's disgusting. Amazing. Well, that's beautiful, Jess. I'm so happy for you that we're in this season.
Thank you. I'm happy too. And I have to say, speaking of this season, I did listen to the show that you guys did last week without me. So it took me 6 days, not 1.5 weeks per Greg's prediction. And I'm just so happy that skulls got brought up. I have to also show you, for those that are watching and not listening, the pants that I was wearing yesterday as I listened to the show, covered in skulls. So
oh man,
I like to shop with skulls. And sorry, Mark, but Ben Franklin didn't have wood teeth. It was George Washington. So that's why no one laughed at your joke last week.
Sad. He's not even here to defend himself.
That's
and
okay.
Greg is in the spirit too. He's in his business costume.
I'm in my
What's
business
going on
costume.
there?
I had my first in-person meeting. Like I've got like pants and everything on and like a human being. My wife looked at me this morning and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I have to in-person meeting. I don't even know what to do anymore. So I did that, successful, and I'm still kicking here. So what about you, Shep?
I guess I wanted to follow up and say pumpkin empanadas are disgusting. I had a terrible situation this weekend. People don't know about this about me. It makes me really unpopular, but I don't eat swine. And I had an incident this weekend. My brother was at my house and he spilled bacon grease all over the bottom of my oven, which is just the worst adult problem of all time. I tried to clean it. There's this baking soda trick. Now the oven's just dirty with baking soda instead of bacon grease. And it's terrible. And that's my spooky season.
And that's a bad start.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Do you not eat swine to say that you don't eat swine?
I just think it's so gross. I think bacon smells terrible. Everyone thinks it smells good. I don't get it.
You should have left it in there. Get a little bacon hint, all the food coming out of there.
Oh, I did. It was the entire kitchen was smoky, and he's just like, "Oh, I don't know."
Well, everything that you're baking from now on is going to smell like swine.
Yeah, seriously. Well, if you're like me and you have a grievance to air or a spicy take to share, anything you want to get off your chest, we want to hear it. Our phone lines are now open. You can visit call.marketingoclock.com and leave us a message, and you just might hear your voice on the show next week. And we have a special voicemail coming up later in our social.
And don't forget, you can see our smiling faces over on YouTube. You can catch the full show or just grab the main news in bite-sized bits with our Marketing O'Clock minis. You'll find it all on the Search Engine Journal channel. That's Search Engine Journal, one word with no spaces. So come and check out my Halloween decor.
And in big news, there is another SEJ Summit happening, and it's happening in 2021. So the E-Summit last year was I might go out on a limb and just say it was the conference of the season. And this year it is a 2-day event, January 12th to January 13th, 2021. And you can get early bird tickets now by heading on over to searchenginejournal.com/SEJ Summit. And you might just like what you see on the agenda. Have you looked at the agenda?
I have.
It is an all-star cast, which I am excited about. But did you see what was happening January 12th at 2:10 p.m.?
No,
Please
Greg,
tell
what's
me.
happening?
There's Marketing O'Clock live with co-hosts Christine, aka Shep Zernheld, Jessica Budd, Mark Saltarelli, and myself. I mean, it's
So exciting.
worth $75 just for that. But don't miss it. It's going to be the conference of the year, even though there'll only be like 11 days, and it's going to make it through the entire rest of the year. It's going to be the best
Totally.
one. So head on over to Marketing Clock to get that direct link, and you'll be able to see our smiling faces there too.
And first up in the news this week, spooky season indeed. We have a tweet from Menachem Ani at Menachem Ani on Twitter. He shared an email that he received from Google Ads. It says at the top, we'd like to share an update. We're always working to improve auto-applied recommendations to help set you up for success. We wanted to make sure you are aware of the following updates, which will go into effect on October 1st, 2020. So it looks like this is like these automated recommendations are like split into 2 tiers. And if you opt in, they'll be auto-applied. I looked into a little bit, and it's honestly just terrifying, and I don't want to experiment with it at all to know more. But the point of this story is this is terrible.
Shep, do you need to opt into it? I thought it was going to be automatically applied to certain campaigns.
You have to opt in to auto-applied recommendations.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they'll be auto-applied without you giving it permission.
So you should check and make sure what you are right now.
Yes, that's the biggest takeaway from this story. Like, I'm not even going to tell you how to turn it on. Just turn it off. So in this tweet thread, Doug Thomas on Twitter at Firkin Gambubo. I'm going to forgive him for making me say that Twitter handle because he did figure out how to turn these off. He has a link for the auto-applied recommendation center in the Google Partners dashboard that you can log into, and it has all of your list of your clients in your MCC, and it says whether or not it's turned on and off right there. So to sleep better at night, we will put that in the show notes. It's very nice. But it's interesting the things they're recommending in here. So they say that he's opted into auto-applied recommendations right now, and it's going to set target ROAS for maximize conversion value, improve RDA ad strength. Then it says keyword match type best practice. And like we were all speculating as to what that could mean. And of course, PPC Greg to the rescue, Greg of the Year. Has a screenshot of this in his account, and it says in his recommendations that equates to changing exact to phrase and phrase to broad, of course.
That is so disingenuous to say that that is keyword match type best practice. If you surveyed everybody that used Google Ads, not one person that was not a novice would say best practice is to broaden things. Now, let's broaden things and hide the terms. Absolutely nobody in their right mind would say this. And it is, you understand why there's such vitriol for Google Ads, where they're saying we're going to auto change to keyword match type best practice. And by doing that, you think, oh, maybe they're going to do something that narrows it in. No, No, this isn't narrowing anything. You're turning phrased to broad. If what PPC Greg, maybe Greg of the Year, we'll have to see how that turns out, is right, that is so dangerous. That is so dangerous. And I
He's
just
gotta
don't know
be
what
right.
they're doing.
I mean, I'm not surprised though, sadly. He's totally right. That's got to be what it is. And they have these broken up into like different goals, enhanced coverage. It's just so annoying the way they like word things to try to make it sound like they're good for people and they're not. Maximize impact. Like, what does that even mean? We're just going to auto apply recommendations to maximize impact. Get rid of this.
I just don't know if people out there that don't do paid all the time know how catastrophic turning every phrase match term in your campaign to broad match is. I cannot even imagine the poor souls out there that turn this on and think that there's some type of best practice. And in reality, it's Google going and looking at their stock price and using best practice off of that. This is truly despicable.
So there's no treat part for this, but it's a good trick, I feel. If I can convince you to make your phrase match keyword into a broad match keyword, then it doesn't matter if I'm doing awful matching that you don't even see because you made the mistake. You made your keyword broad. I did that. Right?
Don't say
Maybe Google's just trying to cover. Well, no, not me.
Wait, did
So
you
maybe
get a
that's what
job?
people's thinking. No.
Google now.
Go work for Google? I
Are you-
didn't go work for Satan if we want to stick with the Halloween theme.
You're off for 1 week and you're over to the dark side.
You know what I mean, though? Maybe they're just trying to trick people into doing stupid things with their ad account so that the onus isn't all on them when they do stupid things. I don't know. It's not smart. It's not good.
But that's evil. That's evil.
It is
Totally. Not saying it's not.
I gotta get a hold of your husband, Chris, and see if you're out at Mountain View last week. Well, I don't know where you were. All right. Well, next up is some good news in case you were looking for an alternative to Google Analytics. There is a new tool. It's really an addition to a previous tool that Cloudflare offered, and it is their free analytics tool. And it is focused on privacy. Cloudflare goes on to say that there are free analytics tools out there, but they come at a cost. Not money, but your users' privacy. Today, we're announcing a brand new privacy-first analytics service that's open to everyone, even if they're not already a Cloudflare customer. And this comes from John Levin, the product manager of data and analytics. And one thing John said was Cloudflare's business has never been built around tracking users or selling advertising. We don't want to know what you do on the internet. It's not our business. And I like that because with all the social documentaries out there, it's good to know that Cloudflare is not like Instagram from Facebook that wants to watch me take a poop, you know? Like Jess, that was your quote, I believe you said last
It's
week.
not an exact quote, but yeah.
Well, anyway, you're going to be able to see top host names, URLs, countries, and other critical metrics, including status codes, which is something you may not actually see in Google Analytics. And we'll get to that in a moment. And as I said, you could have some limited analytics before, but this is a big expansion. One of the things that I loved the most was that you can drag to zoom on a specific time frame. So if you're looking at your charts and graphs, you can just select a certain time and it locks right in on it. Google Analytics is better than Google Ads, but I still always have trouble for some reason getting the right time frames to match. And we've got some clients where we're always looking quarter over quarter and specific year over year. And you can't just go year over year. You got to get that Monday and the Sunday to Saturdays and everything. So this is a really nice thing where you can see a problem and zoom in. Additionally, you can group by different dimensions. So there's a great GIF/video that they've got there showing it in action. And it's something that you definitely want to check out. Another reason to consider it, even if you are happy with Google Analytics, is because Google Analytics, as we know, uses JavaScript and browser data. And Cloudflare uses both edge data, so before it makes it back out to the browser, and they're trying to use browser data with this new version. So one of the problems with Google Analytics is if a page doesn't load because let's say it's an error or it's forbidden and there's no Google Analytics on that page, you're not going to know it. So this is another reason to test this out if you want to, because it uses edge data to start and is trying to work on integrating more browser data. So if you are interested, head on over to marketingclock.com to see it in action.
Next in the news from Facebook ads, the 28-day attribution window is going away soon, like October 12th, 2 weeks from now, really, really soon. So this is due to unspecified privacy initiatives that are coming that Facebook says will, quote, limit businesses' ability to measure people's interactions across domains and devices. Among those limitations is the ability for businesses to attribute conversion events back to an ad over longer attribution windows. So if you're wondering whether this impacts you, if you're wondering, then it probably does. Because for those that don't know, Facebook can measure results using a 1, 7, or 28-day attribution window, and the default is 28. So unless you've physically gone in and changed this setting to a smaller window, then your account is going to be impacted. You're using the 28, you're using the current default if you haven't changed that. So number one, that is going to change on the 12th. That will go away. The new default will be 7 days, but also the historical data that is tied to the 28-day window is also going to go away as of the 12th. So Facebook recommends that you download your performance data now so you have it. I'd recommend that too. I think that's good advice. You're going to want that data. And something else that I ship is using the compare windows feature in Facebook. And Susan Winograd suggested this in her article on Search Engine Journal. So we'll have a screenshot in the show notes as well for how you can do this. But Facebook ads right now allows you to compare 2 different conversion windows. So you can look at the current 28-day window versus the 7, which again will be the new default, and get an idea of what to expect as far as how performance might change in your account. And you can start planning for that. So Facebook has stressed that moving to a 7-day window is a more realistic view of ad performance anyway. So I guess that's good. But it's true, right? Like a lot can happen in 28 days. We've all seen that movie where you can wake up 28 days later and the world is a different place, right? So maybe 7's a better window. Yeah. I don't know if they're technically zombies though, right? Have either of you actually seen it? I thought they were just like.
Wait, you've never seen that movie?
Humans.
I think I have.
Jess, you've never seen this?
No, I've seen it. It was a long time ago, but isn't it like they're alive? They just have a virus and they rage like zombies, but they're not dead. They're not like undead.
It's the guy from Peaky Blinders, right?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good film if I remember. Very suspenseful, but like I said, a lot can happen in 28 days. So smaller attribution window, I'm fine with that. Could happen to anybody, right? No, it couldn't. You guys you're not in the Halloween mood with me.
Okay, well, we're always complaining about 2020, but we shouldn't forget that there were some good things that happened this year, like free organic Google Shopping listings. First, they launched in the US in April, and these are going to launch globally mid-October. So just like the US rollout, these will start in the shopping tab before eventually rolling out to the main search results. And if you haven't done it already because you're outside of the US or you're just waiting for an invite, this is your invite right now. Upload your product feeds to Google Merchant Center, and then be sure to opt in to the Services on Google program to make your products eligible for these listings. And I always think when we have these stories, like we talked about this so long ago, like how many of our listeners are actually outside the US? Because I feel like, who cares about me? But I looked it up today. Our most popular YouTube video only had 32% of views in the US. It was Microsoft giveth, Google Ads taketh away. I'm going to ask Jess because I bet Greg already looked this up. What country do you think came in second with 17% of the views?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the UK.
No, it was India.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That is.
So India cares about me.
Hello to our fans in India.
I know, hello. And then the UK and Canada were like the other 2 that were up there. It's the same in Anchor. UK, Canada, US, and India are like our biggest fan bases. So
we love you.
People in those countries, opt into services across Google.
Now it's time for this week's Take of the Week. This is a #fire digital marketing take with extra spice served up for you.
We simply deliver the take for your consumption.
We give no opinions. We don't influence.
You make the call.
And usually these takes come from a person. But not this week. This is something too spicy to pass up from Burger King by way of agency Uncle Grey, Grey. Do you spell it G-R-A-Y or E-Y? Great.
EY.
E.
Okay. I think I'm an A guy. I don't know why.
Of
I
course
think
you are.
most people are. I think the A is fancier.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Jess. Anyway, they created a new social media campaign to promote Burger King's improved customer service, along with its new pledge to answer all queries on Facebook within 48 hours. Not that spicy, right? Wrong. Because they did so by targeting McDonald's customers who left complaints and comments on the McDonald's Facebook page. So they went through not only recent messages on the McDonald's page, but messages up to weeks and months, and in some cases years ago, back to more than 1,000 comments, and replied to the messages with a funny answer, arguably a funny answer, and then they gave them a link to redeem a free Whopper. What a move. They said Burger King said that they jumped in and decided to lend a helping hand because its closest competitor was not quite on point when it comes to online customer service.
That is bad.
This
That
makes
is so
me
funny.
I just,
Jess, you like Burger King more, right?
Of course I do, yeah.
that's
Look
gross.
at that side eye. Look at that side eye. You could even hear it on the podcast.
Have you ever had a Diet Coke from McDonald's at drive-thru? Like,
Oh, now you're making fun of me. It's
I
the
am.
best Diet Coke in the world. Burger King has like too big of drinks and then the ice ratio is off and it's not as good.
I think, though, that the reason McDonald's Diet Coke is better than Burger King, because I agree with you, it's because of the straw. It's not because of the Coke itself. The straw tastes different.
That's a
I
good
know
theory.
that's blasphemy. We're not supposed to use straws anymore. So come at me, internet.
Yeah. Maybe you should message McDonald's and you'll get a reply from Burger King.
Funny. You know that they gave that job to an intern, too, and it's like the most fun assignment they've ever had. I love it.
And now it's time for this week's ICYMI.
this is something you just might not have seen.
Maybe something that you overlooked.
But you shouldn't have. ICYMI people, Ginny Marvin at Ginny Marvin tweeted about Google Ads UI changes this week, specifically about the location reporting. And this isn't in everyone's account yet, but Julie Pacini at Neptune Moon replied and said, noted that they changed the terminology from physical locations to matched locations, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But then she linked to this article from Martin Rodgerding. Did I say that?
That was perfect.
The worst. I'm sorry, Martin. I loved your article. Martin Rodgerding, he's from Germany and he's really smart. And he wrote this awesome article about this change in light of the change from regularly in or people who show interest in your targeted locations. And basically this report is just making no guarantees that the people who are clicking on your ads are actually where they say they are anymore. And they made this change, a couple months after they announced that we're now paying for those DSTP fees from UK users. So I just thought this was a really interesting read and everyone should check it out. And it's just another way that they're snatching our data and I hate it.
And again, it is absolutely unfathomable that they're doing this. To say to somebody that you're going to be on the hook for these specific fees when you advertise to somebody in a said country, and then changing the physical location report to showing matched. So are you paying UK taxes on something that's from
You could be.
Spain? Like, it's match? You can't actually target a country anymore. You can't target a location. And now you're not even showing me the locations when you make this change to shake more money out of my pockets. It is just, you have to, I feel like I'm on drugs. I don't understand what they're doing. It has to be a mole. There has to be a mole in there. I don't know why you would do this. How is this okay? You're not showing advertisers where things are being displayed now.
It's so not okay. And people
But you're
don't even
taxing it.
realize.
You're getting taxed, you're passing the tax on, and now you're not showing advertisers where the ad is being displayed. Instead, you're saying it's matched to. It is just so short-sighted. God, I don't even have words for like. I don't even know. Like, I know everybody by now is probably hung up the podcast, just hung the phone up on this thing, because all I do the whole time is try to think about why or what or how any of this could happen. You're now rolling out taxes specifically to people in location, and at the same time removing the physical locations you're serving ads to. In what world does this make sense? Is there anything that you could think of other than greed and being disingenuous and hiding data on why you would do this? It is just it's incredible. It's incredible. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you taxing people on a location? And then literally the same week, you're like, I'm going to take all this information away. I hope it all burns to the ground. I hope it all burns to the ground. Burn it like that witch behind Jess.
You leave her out of this. She's nice.
She looks really friendly.
She's only threatened to cook my baby into stew twice.
Okay, I wish you would have said that in an actual conversation that we were including. That was really fun.
I might put the last part in there. I'm too much. I'm just too.
People like your rants.
Okay.
Pair it with a collared shirt and people are like, whoa. I mean, business.
You have to include that too. Okay.
I miss you guys so much.
Now it's time for this week's lightning round.
Pew, pew.
At this point in the show, we split up our content into 3 parts: paid, organic, and social.
First up in the paid universe this week from Stephen Johns at StephenJohns21 on Twitter.
21 got another one.
Well, you're taking my joke. He actually got another 3 this week, I think.
Of course he did.
He says YouTube ads has new video analytics that allow you to select your ad format. So you can pick skippable in-stream, video discovery, or outstream, and segment with age, gender, device, ad group, and campaign right from the video analytics. And then he says he also found that you can copy custom intent auto-created audiences to video campaigns now. No big deal. It is a big deal. Thanks, Steven. Stephen Johns, 21 got another 3.
That was a good joke.
Oh, thanks.
Never heard it before.
Power listener, Larry Chase at L Chase on Twitter. He noticed some minor UI reporting changes in Google Ads. The only change he's seeing is that the data columns are now on the right side instead of the left. But after seeing this, anytime they make changes to the columns, I was like holding my breath, waiting for someone to notice that 1 or 2 of the columns had disappeared. Doesn't seem like that's the case so far. And he also notes that this isn't live in all of his accounts. It's not live in mine either. So either a test or a slow rollout.
Let's just get rid of all the data. Get rid of it all.
That seems like it's what they're doing. And next up, Snapchat is pitching a new option to advertisers called Platform Burst. This is a media buy advertisers can use to ensure their campaigns reach a certain amount of people in the app frequently over 3 or 5 days. So over this time period, Snapchat guarantees advertisers that those campaigns will reach at least 40% of their target audience 15 times. There's no fixed price for Platform Burst campaigns, but Snapchat execs have pitched early iterations at around £100,000. We're all about the Brits this week, I guess, with Stephen Johns having 3. And you can split your campaign into different formats across different parts of the app for this. You could have story ads in the Discover section, Snap ads in a media company's publisher stories, and the TV-like Snapchat commercials between Snapchat shows. Remember that?
Barely.
Snapchat is just getting so sad. Like, I hope this works for them. And I was just thinking today, like I sent my first Snapchat in forever this week, and I sent it to like everyone in my family, and I couldn't remember what it was. So I went in to look at my sends, and I forgot how Snapchat works because it like doesn't matter to me anymore, and I couldn't see it. But I did find this Harry Styles game that I played in 2016. Like for some reason this saved, and it was like a bald Harry Styles, and you could draw hair on him. And I turned him into both of my sisters. And you know, those were good times on Snapchat, and I just want to bring them back.
Talk about the name of the game. You didn't even say it.
It's called Harry-less Styles. And it's just a bald Harry Styles, and you draw. And like my little sister used to wear a lot of headbands, so I added like a nice headband to her head. Little speech bubble for my other sister. We don't have to talk about that. And next up, Reddit is rolling out 3 flavors of brand safety inventory controls for advertisers: standard, expanded, and limited. I'm really scared of the standard one. I don't think you should pick that on Reddit.
If it's anything like Google Ads, like, yeah, let's just turn everything. But anyway, it made me think of a tweet last week, and it was from @Google Ads. All they do now is tweet their own promotion, and it was from Alan Theisgen, head of Advertising Week. And the name of the post was Rethink Ready, How to Prepare Your Business for What's Next. And apparently Alan's going through and telling everybody at Advertising Week what's most important. Can you guess what he put as the most important thing?
Automation.
The most important thing of Google Ads. Shep, that is a great guess. Jess, do you have a guess?
Optimizing your data.
You win, Jess.
We don't have any data.
Letting data inform your new product strategy.
You're kidding. I was
in
kidding.
a simulation. This is not real life anymore. It's not real.
We don't have any data.
I know. They're taking the data away. They're taking the physical locations away. They're taking the match terms away. You got 4 out of 94 search terms you can see. It's crazy. It's crazy. So Reddit, don't do that. Don't, what do they call it? Use keyword best practices for your standard. I like the and I'm sorry, I'm fired up this week. I'm done trashing anybody else here.
It's okay if you're not.
Yeah, I don't think you are, but that's okay. Moving on, Microsoft Advertising has a new web show called The Download. It's hosted by this really nice French lady named Jennifer in a cool leather jacket. And Jennifer promises insights, trends, and expert interviews all in under a half an hour. Unfortunately, we can't promise that on this show. Maybe under an hour and a half if you guys are lucky. Anyway, episode 1 is up, and it's about business recovery, and we will link to it in the show notes. Check out Jennifer. Love to see it. And finally, unpaid, Andrea Cruz at AndreaCruz92 on Twitter tweeted this week that she couldn't find competitors' ads where they were supposed to be in LinkedIn, which seemed a little spooky season, but luckily this was a false alarm. They actually just moved. Sankit Jane at Sankit_Jane on Twitter said, "Hi, Andrea. It seems that they have moved to a new category of ads under the post section. This is why I love PPC chat, finding answers to questions just when we need them." And now to our new segment, Beyond Google Ads, because guess what, guys? Google Ads doesn't care about you.
But we do.
This week, we have a special segment from our very own Jess Budd about Microsoft Advertising, and I think she's going to get some assistance from her witch friend.
All right, so a couple weeks ago, we broke the news that Microsoft Advertising's audience ads were available to all US advertisers, and that to get started, you could just import your Google display campaigns. We encourage you to do so. If you didn't, we did. So now that we've had a chance to try it, I am here to caution you that, as with anything Microsoft Advertising, there are a few key ways that it does differ from Google Ads, so you can't just set it and forget it, but we wouldn't tell you to do that anyway. So if you're willing to give these a shot, I just have a couple tidbits for you to keep in mind. 1, unless you're using Microsoft-supported DMPs, your only targeting options with audience ads right now are remarketing and in-market audiences. So if you import your Google campaigns, in-market seem to import just fine, but double check anyway. And just a heads up, they do by default add a 15% bid adjustment to that, so get rid of it if that's not what you wanted. As for your remarketing campaigns, they will import with the exception of the actual audience associations. You'll need to manually add those in your Microsoft account. When it comes to ad formats, the only available ad format so far is responsive display ads, and these again will import from Google, but there is only room for one headline and one description. So if you have multiple headlines and descriptions, in your Google responsive display ads. Only the first one is going to pull in when you import into Microsoft, and that's it. So double check your messaging and make sure you're happy with the way your ads read. And here's the big one. There's no category level setting to control where your ads are shown in Microsoft Audience Ads. So there are placement exclusions that you can add, but they have to be added manually at the campaign level, one URL at a time. So this is scary in theory, but so far in my experience, the placements have all been wholesome enough. But obviously it's crucial to still go in and check these regularly and exclude sites that don't fit your brand. And you can do so using the website URL publisher report in Microsoft Advertising. So yes, importing everything from Google saves you time and energy to get started, but as with anything, you need to check everything before you go live and closely monitor and evaluate performance once you do. Don't expect things to behave the same way as they do on Google, because at the end of the day, it's not Google. But no reason not to try audience ads on Microsoft. Try it out. Keep these tips in mind. Good luck.
Love it. So if you're as mad at Google as we are, less rant, more Microsoft Audience Ads. What's happening on organic, Greg?
All right. First up this week, you can now, and you might have been able to before, but I saw the official announcement that you can now hook up Data Studio to Google Surveys. Google Surveys are a great tool that are free. My biggest issue with Google Surveys were it was hard to parse through all the data. It wasn't a great look, but you can now take all that information and put it into Data Studio, which is really cool. If we were a real podcast, we probably would have done a survey and then showed you how cool the integration is. But maybe Burger King Sweden will swoop in here and help us out. All right, next up, Apple has a change coming after Facebook issued a statement saying that businesses would be able to keep all earnings, minus applicable taxes, from those paid online events that we reported on about a month ago over on Facebook. Facebook made that announcement and then asked Apple to waive those fees to help small businesses being impacted by COVID. And in true fall fashion, Apple denied it, crushed it, and turned it into a puddle of cider. And we're going to charge the 30%, but they've had a change at their core and temporarily have waived 30% commission that is paid, that they are collecting on all paid events and live streamed experiences. So that includes Facebook and Airbnb. The suspension of fees is significant because it typically doesn't let app developers process payments in in-app purchases or use third-party services at all for security. So, and it turns out that Google will also be taking a bite out of Apple styles, as Google has agreed to waive its 30% commission on in-app purchases in the Android version of Facebook. Well, if you like free things, you might not like Google's next policy here, because Google said on Monday that it's going to go back to full Apple and enforce rules that require app developers distributing Android software in the Google Play Store to use its in-app payment system. This move means that developers who have had customers pay them directly with a credit card for any content will now have to use Google's billing system, and that takes a 30% fee from its payments. So something to note if you have an app. Next up, Google's Danny Sullivan published an explainer page on Google that provided details on how Google selects certain kinds of featured snippets, and really like kind of recent featured snippets. So he says, critical context like time and place helps us understand what you're really looking for. This is particularly true for featured snippets, a feature in search that highlights pages that our systems determine are likely a great match for your search. I read this, and this is just so sad. This is not a Danny Sullivan article. It's not fun. It's not funny. It's just—
Maybe the AI wrote it for him.
It reads like AI. It reads like there's a Google PR team, and there's 1,000 levels of PR, and Danny writes a brilliant piece, and it's funny, and people are laughing and understanding it, and it turns into this garbage. And it's just sad. I mean,
I have a conspiracy theory. Maybe when he went on that cruise, that Star Trek cruise, at the same time you went on the SS Corona, maybe he just didn't come back. He's still at sea.
It's possible, though. It seems like he is very much on land and like marathoning and everything now. And Danny's the best, and I truly love him. So I just am sad. I love old Danny. The conferences, he was like a stand-up, and his old articles are just so conversational. and you really get them. I don't know, but now it's just AI, whatever. Anyway, Google is reportedly getting sued by the U.S. Justice Department next week due to antitrust. Good. Bring it. Burn it like that witch behind you, Jess. All right. Continuing on, Google had a video on YouTube with Martin Splitt and Barry Schwartz of Search Engine Roundtable and Search Engine Land on SEO myth busting, and they talked about what it depends actually means. And guess what? It depends means it depends about feature snippets stealing traffic, transparency, SEOs twisting Google's words, which they all do. They all do. I almost identified it as SEO. Wasn't that bad?
I'm not an SEO.
And SEOs twisting Google's words and a lot more. So if you're interested in all that and the relationship between SEOs and Google, go watch it. Good for you. And non-laughing news. Unfortunately, there were some very distasteful, and that's even an understatement, but I can't swear on this show. So it's just a very distasteful memes that were showing up for specific terms. And Google's Danny Sullivan on his @SearchLiaison Twitter handle said, "It was noticed today that hateful memes appear in search results for Jewish baby strollers. We apologize. These don't reflect our opinions. We try to show content matching all key terms searched for as people normally want. But for, quote, data voids, unquote, like this, it can be problematic, ... For baby strollers, there's lots of helpful content. For this, there's not. That's not surprising. It's not likely a topic normally searched for, nor an actual product that's marketed. There's a, quote, void, unquote, of good content to surface that matches what was asked for. Some have asked when these results will be removed. We only remove web-based results for extremely limited reasons," and links over to those reasons. You see it in the show notes. "In cases like this where we don't have a policy that covers removal, we work to see if there are ways to surface more helpful content. Working to improve our results generally takes more time, but helps ensure any improvements work overall, not just for one situation, but many. These images may also be removed if the sites hosting them remove them. If that happens, content drops out naturally over time." To say there was an uproar about this was an understatement. I saw people saying they were going to slap the taste out of Danny's mouth. It was really, really bad. Now, I get it. The results are bad. They're very bad memes out there. It's not like you're going to be able to do what Danny said in his last tweet and say like, "Oh yeah, go remove those images, you hateful site." Like they're not going to care.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to look at reality on reality's terms. I'd say that a lot sometimes, but Danny worked off of the Google side for decades, right? And when he was at Search Engine Land, not similar, but related, there was an issue with a Holocaust denial site ranking number 1 for a term about did the Holocaust happen. And as a member of the SEO community at the time, I'm going to pull 2016 Danny Sullivan to see how they match up with 2020 Danny Sullivan. So this is from an article on Search Engine Land called "Official. Google Makes Change. Results are no longer in denial over did the Holocaust happen," back in December 2016. And Danny said, "In particular, the denial site remains in the listings. A sign it hasn't been penalized. That would have been problematic for Google because it really doesn't have a good policy to pull or penalize sites for this type of reason, except say in Germany, where there are laws against Holocaust denial. If it sounds crazy that Google couldn't just pull a site for pushing the horrible fiction that the Holocaust never happened, I strongly encourage you to read my story from last week on the topic. Google pulling sites for not being able to prove things could lead to it having to do stuff like banning religious sites, which are built on the foundation of faith. Google needs a comprehensive, defendable policy. It needs an algorithm that can better cope with the amount of post-truth content that's been growing. It also needs to work across a multitude of queries, not just whatever happens to get spotted. Coming up with that seemed like a process that would take several weeks, especially watching how Google had dealt with similar type issues. So Danny's seen that need for a policy for a while, and in a additional site when the site was removed back in 2016, Danny made the following statement as a member of Search Engine Land, saying, also easier for it to happen because frankly, this isn't a popular search. Very few people do it. And at the time, there's a report from The Guardian, and Danny says, the Guardian reporter who started running those ads, tapping into Google's own data, found it happened about 10,000 times per month or about 300 times per day. In contrast, people search for Holocaust worldwide around 15,000 times per day. Google itself handles 5.5 billion searches per day. In short, this search rarely happens. Additionally, Danny goes on back in 2016. You can see all the links to the old articles in the show notes saying, it's horrible that Google had the denial site showing up tops for did the Holocaust happen? It has serious work to do to clean up many of its results. It deserves to remain under the spotlight as it grapples with this problem. It deserves to face criticism if it claims a fix that doesn't work as advertised. But everyone deserves for the issue to be covered without stretching the truth, especially ironic when we're talking about improving the truth in results. As you heard Danny from the SEO community side of things saying that there should be a policy, I think he probably would say the same thing here today. And unfortunately, there hasn't been one in place, but hopefully there will be one soon. All right. And next up from Mike Blumenthal over at gatherup.com, how to get a wacko Google review removed. We've had this a few times where some absolutely insane review comes through. I've never seen an article this good that talks about the steps you need to take to get that removed. Check it out over on gatherup.com in the show notes. Next up, Prime Day has been announced. It is officially October 13th and the 14th this year. There are going to be the Amazon incredible savings. I always get just overwhelmed by Prime Day. I feel like their site's hard to use. But one thing that you may like as a marketer is they're also supporting small. So from September 28th to October 12th, if you spend $10 on select small business products, you will earn $10 to spend on Prime Day. And that is exclusively for Prime members. So I like that little touch on top of Prime Day, and hopefully it helps out small business. That is it for Organic. Jess, what's happening in social?
First up here in social, from Social Media Today's Andrew Hutch, coming in clutch. Thank you, Mark. With new advertising. I stole it, but I listened last week. I just want you guys to know.
That just proves it's important because we didn't really believe that you listened before, but now we know.
I know. Now you know. All right. So Andrew has news that advertisers will rejoice over. Pinterest is adding more ad slots, new ad slots ahead of the holidays. Advertisers will soon be able to place ads in Pinterest Lens matches, in the Shop tab within Search, and in Shopping matches on Pins. So these new ad slots will be available first in the US and the UK, and they're rolling out over time. So if you don't see them yet, don't worry. Hopefully it won't be too long though, because as you see, Halloween is already here, which means it's basically Christmas Eve and people should be shopping already for the holidays. In addition, I'm trying to get this year over with. I'm pushing it along. In addition to the cool new ad opportunities, Pinterest also said they're going to have new conversion insights coming to Pinterest verified merchants so that they can see how both their paid and organic pins impact sales performance. There's great stuff. Andrew's got a cool GIF in his article. We'll have it in the show notes too that show what those insights are. There's actual like numbers and data, and it's insights is a light word. This looks like analytics to me. It's really nice. So continuing on the Andrew Hutchinson train here, Facebook launches Account Center to better connect its cross-data and payment systems. So Account Center is being launched first as a limited test, but it'll offer 3 types of account linking across Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. So you'll be able to share your stories and your posts across those platforms, which you can already pretty much do with a few exceptions. You'll be able to log in across all of your accounts, which Andrew wisely notes that if you have login saved on your device, this really isn't anything for you. The big one here is authorizing payments via Facebook Pay. So it'll make it a lot easier for people and a much more seamless experience to shop without having to drop from the app they're in and log in somewhere else.
Very nice.
Thank you. LinkedIn announced this week that they're launching updates to specialties in their marketing partner program. So basically anyone looking for a third-party tool or vendor in the partners directory can now do so based on the type of services that they need from said vendor, which is really nice. So things like content and creative, campaign management, lead gen, reporting, and more. And that's really exciting for anyone that uses that. This is the only story we had about LinkedIn, but speaking of LinkedIn stories, I think we have a voicemail from power listener, Cypress North's own Jill Fetcher, right?
Power watcher. She's a YouTube viewer.
Oh, you're right. Hey, girl.
Hi, friends. It's your favorite LinkedIn enthusiast, Jill Fetcher from Cypress North, and I'm here with my hot take on LinkedIn stories. So I've been using LinkedIn stories and testing it out a bit to see how it goes. My first one was a video of myself saying that I was going to test out LinkedIn stories, and my second one was a photo of my work from home space labeled with what I thought were little funny captions of things around my desk. So the downside of the LinkedIn app is that it doesn't have great functionality for making your stories creative. There's only 2 font choices. There's no filters available to make sure that your selfie videos look nice. So you have to make sure your lighting is just right. And you can't tag anyone else in your stories. So hopefully they'll release some new features soon and we can get more creative with our stories and stand out from all of the blah business memes.
I wish what I look like right now was a business filter from LinkedIn with this collared shirt. But let's hear what Jill has to say about the positives.
Okay, now for the positive side of LinkedIn stories. I actually heard from a few connections in my network that I haven't talked to in a while. Someone reached out to me that I knew from before I came to Cypress North that I hadn't seen in about 2 years. We ended up chatting back and forth a little bit on LinkedIn Messenger to catch up, and we decided to have a call later this week to see if there's any opportunities to work together because we're both in different roles since the last time we talked. So I call that a win. Overall, while it's like the 100th app to introduce stories, it felt a little bit lame at first. I think it could be a good way to get in front of your professional network. I think that everyone likes to work with someone they like. And so this is a tool that can help me get to know my contacts better and let them get to know me a little bit better. So our relationship automatically feels more personal when we go to talk about business. So overall, I like it and I will keep you guys posted.
She's such a LinkedIn person to say that.
She sells it well, man. She's like
I would be like,
uses. Go ahead, Chap.
I would be like, oh, I heard from someone from 2 years ago. Ugh. I hate this.
Yeah, but she uses LinkedIn like the way you're supposed to, right? She actually uses it to network and talk to people and share things. Like she uses it for real, where the rest of us are just like, guess we have to have a profile.
Yeah.
So, well, not to speak for you guys, but no, I think she sold it well. If you're actually trying to use LinkedIn, maybe it's nice.
And I tried to use it, and I used a picture of the weekend when I was on a hike, and then I put work hard, play hard. I used every LinkedIn sticker, and nobody liked it. But you can see that over.
Oh,
I would have liked it if I saw it, but I didn't see it.
I know, but I also will make an amendment to your statement that the only good thing to happen in 2020 was Google Shopping going organic. We got Jill on our team.
I didn't say it was the only good thing.
Oh, I thought you said it was the only good thing.
No, there are other things. Yeah, but Jill's definitely a good thing.
Jill's the only other
better
thing.
than Google
My
Shopping.
Harry Slackham's candle's a good thing.
It's a little too much of a good thing if you ask me.
No, mine was a hit. When everyone came over for my son's birthday party, everyone was like, what's that candle? What is that? And I had to tell them all
You made me
about it.
so jealous that I didn't get the one you got.
Sorry. All right, let's move on here. Friends, do you remember a few months ago when Twitter started prompting people to read an article before retweeting it?
Yes.
Remember talking about that? Well, guess what? It's working. According to Twitter, there's been a 33% increase in users clicking on an article link before retweeting it. So that's nice.
Nothing like shame as a motivator.
I'd call it a warning, but you can call it shame. Speaking of shame from a social network, LinkedIn, I guess we have another LinkedIn story here. Oh, well, LinkedIn is launching some new measures to help keep everyone behaving professionally and respectfully, like Jill, on the platform. So this includes notifications to users whose content has been removed due to a policy violation and warnings on messages that could contain harassing content. They make it easy to report with a single tap. So that's nice. And to finish here with news from the campaign trail / White House / internet, the saga of TikTok Inc. et al. V. Trump et al. Continues. The ban of the app that was scheduled to go into effect on Monday was delayed per the US federal court, which if you use TikTok, I'm sure you noticed because you're still using it. On the other side, Joe Biden this week called for Facebook users to, quote, stop the spread of viral misinformation and blatant attempts of voter suppression, end quote, and to, quote, demand Facebook be held accountable for threatening our democracy, end quote. And he did this via a sponsored post on Facebook.
He did it on Facebook. This is
Just
like
paying him money.
this is like our biggest episode ever, where the one I talked about earlier, Microsoft ads giveth, Google ads taketh away on YouTube. We're complaining about Google the whole time, and then like the biggest traffic source to it is Google News. It's like, okay, Joe.
I just love it. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to read the whole thing, we'll have it in the show notes. But yeah, he paid for that. He gave Facebook money.
And that brings us to our real life segment, straight out of our accounts and into your ear holes. It's time for Working Hard or Hardly Working, where we talk about what's going on in our IRL work, good, bad, or otherwise.
I have a quick one. Usually we talk about scroll to text, that structured snippet highlight feature, when Glenn Gabe has another update about it. But I didn't know that if you sent the URL to like a friend or colleague, it stays highlighted. And I just think that's so awesome for when you're like trying to prove somebody right in an argument, and it's just right there highlighted like, hey, I'm right. So that's just really cool, and all the more reason to try to be a structured snippet in your content. Thanks, Google.
Beautiful. I've got a working hard this week too. The Facebook ads interface, for one thing, worked without a hiccup for me all week. So I'm celebrating that along with celebrating Halloween. But the bigger thing that I noticed when I was in there, we are targeting a whole bunch of very specific addresses for locations of businesses, and we're targeting a radius around those. We have about 400 that we're targeting. And Facebook has a bulk import. I don't even want to call it a tool. You basically can just like copy paste a list, but it lets you bulk import locations up to 200 at a time. And you can include the radius when you do that. And it has all the other radius targeting, like 10, 15, 25, all the usual options right in there. You don't have to add it then later. It's just really, really easy to use. I've never had to use it before. It's probably been there for a while, but really, really handy. So I'm shipping Facebook ads this week for once.
All right. And for me, you heard it last week from Justin Jewell over on the Web Stories team that there was a new plugin. I'm here to confirm that if you were somebody that was frustrated by the Web Stories beta plugin that Google announced roughly 2 months ago because it didn't have Google Analytics built in, you are going to love the new tool that's out of beta, because there is a spot to put in your UA code. And the wonderful Sarah Burke from our team here at Cypress North discovered this, even though she doesn't listen to the show. I have to give her credit because she figured this out. So if you have the beta version, upgrade it. The new version allows you to track analytics.
Now it's time for this week's WTH.
Misguided.
You're like, who does that?
Just get rid of it. I'm over it.
Where we rant, rave, and roll our eyes about a trending digital marketing topic.
What are we coming to
Honestly.
See what had us asking
WTH
this week.
There is a new Bangalore-based startup. Hello to all of our listeners in Bangalore. Startup platform that uses the same technology behind deepfakes to allow brands to create personalized video sales pitches at scale. So we talk about a lot of these creepy deepfakes and AI things all the time. What I thought was interesting about this one is, okay, so the idea is the tool uses text-to-speech artificial intelligence to narrate input text in a natural sounding manner with a selected tone of voice, then syncs it to lip movement and facial expressions of any of its present preset human models. So we talk about this creepy stuff all the time. Of course, none of them sound real. They look a little creepy. It's that uncanny valley. But the example they use in the story is a video of Barack Obama using Siri's voice. And it's like they're trying to be like, oh, we know, they say in the article, we know that people are scared of the claim of deepfake technology, and we don't want them to be creeped out. We're going to have like all these policies to protect people. Why would you use a president as an example as your spokesperson if that's what you're doing? Like, nope, obviously you can't hire a fake Barack Obama to represent your brand. Just don't put that in the video. Like, you're dumb.
I want a deepfake generator of you, Shep. So that when you say those naughty things like I had to bleep out last week, I can then put you in and say something like messed up instead of whatever it was you said.
I forgot to address this, everyone. I did not curse on the show last week, and everyone knows that.
What did you say? Because the word was bleeped.
I think
Messing, yeah.
It's the most innocent thing ever.
I like it. I got my own little deepfake generator here.
And then they talk about how the founders want to use this for celebrities in the future. Like, you're a celebrity and you sign up and then you could have personalized ads with people's names and stuff. Celebrities just don't do that. You're opening yourself up to a lot of hurt, I feel like. They could put any words in your mouth.
Yeah, that's what Cameo's for.
Yeah.
So what you said, Jess?
Yeah. And then they can make their own money and they don't have to pay this company. Yeah.
Get
Done
rid
with
of
robots.
Money, say your own words.
And now for this week's
Cool tool.
As a reminder, our Cool Tool segment is not an official endorsement or paid mention. We're simply sharing something we found in our travels that may be of use to our listeners and is really, really cool.
This week's cool tool is Block Yourself from Analytics from igorware.com. This handy little Chrome extension allows you to block your visits to websites that you manage from Google Analytics, which is a true gift to marketers in the age of remote work. Used to be you could just block your office IP, but we all know that that doesn't quite cut it at the moment. So you can have your whole team install the extension and pow, quote, internal traffic is filtered once again. So we will have the link in the show notes at marketingclock.com, or you can just search for Block Yourself from Analytics in the Chrome Web Store and check it out.
Now it's time for our must-read marketing article of the week. An article so advanced, so in-depth, so detailed that we simply cannot cover it in its entirety on today's show.
And this week's must-read marketing article of the week comes from BFF of the show, Glenn Gabe. And Glenn had an article that was Halloween themed.
Yeah.
Called Google's Found on the Web Mobile SERP Feature.
Love the image.
A knowledge graph and carousel Frankenstein that's hard to ignore. It all started one dark and dreary night when BFF of the show, Glenn Gabe, was in full Halloween getup and looking to finish up a project from a client. And he noticed some big differences in performance when comparing mobile to desktop. What do you think he dressed as for Halloween? What do you think he's going to be? Think so?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
An
think he did
SEO.
something nice, like a pumpkin.
A pumpkin? I like, what would Glenn be for Halloween? You know?
I think he would go as an SEO, wear a collared shirt, and complain about a lot of stuff.
He should go from Gary as Google and just take with him a pile of pictures of him making gourmet food. Nobody ever know the difference. Anyway, Glenn goes on and talks about the fact that clicks and click-through rate were much lower on mobile than desktop for certain queries. And when he was checking the mobile SERPs for those queries, he found the monster, something he called the Frankenstein SERP feature. But in all seriousness, he has a bunch of examples of what might have been once called found on the web, but now have kind of different titles depending on the query. And some of the examples are downright spooky. If you look on YouTube or go to his post and read it, which you should, you can see the results for best companies to work for. And not only are there a list of companies, weird that Google's on there on a Google search, but when you click on one of the listings, you get a carousel of cards that is exposed. So you don't go anywhere. You click on, in his example, click on Salesforce, and then you can scroll through all the good things that are being said about Salesforce. And what he's seen from this is a drop in click-through rate, obviously. Another one that was really egregious was baseball teams in Korea. It shows the entire listing of a lot of teams, and then you can keep on scrolling through and see more information about any of the teams you click on without ever leaving Google. And if you want more information, he covers where the carousel listings are coming from, what's the performance impact when that found on the web is actually in the SERP. Talks about the Google Search Console performance stats and how you cannot miss an opportunity if this matters to you. He also has very nice Halloween costume tips and Google Search Console tracking. I added the Halloween tips.
Yeah,
He
I
doesn't talk
thought
about it.
I was going to
No.
say.
No, he doesn't have anything there. But thank you, Glenn.
All right, that does it for today's show.
It is now officially not Marketing O'Clock.
Remember, you can catch everything from this show on marketingoclock.com.
And while you're there, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode.
And we will see you next week.
Thanks for listening to Marketing O'Clock, part of the Search Engine Journal Podcast Network. If you're looking for more information on today's topics, head over to marketingoclock.com for links to all the articles that we covered. And please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss a single episode.
Welcome to this week's Shoot in the Heck. We're after our famous Friday news show. We don't talk about marketing anymore. We just...
Shoot the heck.
Okay, today we're going to play a game. It's just all right. I don't think it's anyone's favorite, number one. It's poke holes in
Greg's
this.
favorite.
Chef, this is my favorite game.
This is the game where I have a few ideas. They're amazing ideas. They're going to change the world. And you guys are going to tell me how good they are. Right?
Okay, sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so these are all about spooky season. It's a little different this year, as we know, with, the global pandemic and all. But I have some unique creative solutions that are going to make everyone just more comfortable and, celebrate the season. Okay, here's my first idea. You don't want, we all have trick-or-treaters, but we don't want them coming right up to our door. You can't reach into someone's candy basket from 6 feet away. I think that we should all have candy slingshots. And the kids can have long sticks to ring the doorbell from far away. And then we can fire our candy slingshots at the children and they can try to catch it, or they can just get a little bruise.
Yep. I don't use this word a lot, but brilliant. This is a brilliant idea. Now,
You think so?
I think we need a little refinement towards it. I might say we call it lacrosse-a-ween, where you could take it in a lacrosse and you just sling some candy at the kids, call them Brad and be on your way. Lacrosse.
So into lacrosse lately.
No, I love it. I love it. You need the distancing, but people need to trick or treat. I love where the heart where this is coming from. It's hard to poke holes in this, except maybe for the bruise and lawsuits and all that.
Have you ever been to a parade? Throwing candy is dangerous. Also, I would just like to improve on your idea.
What parades have you been to? I've been with 2-year-olds and I've never seen a dangerous candy throwing parade.
People with firewalls, they're hard. It's not, and then everything shatters everywhere, and then your yard is a mess. I think we just take that.
Where do you live? Where do you live?
By the trash heap, remember?
The full address.
Let me give my idea. Wait, you take that long stick for ringing the doorbell, but you turn it into one of those gopher grips, and it also accepts the candy.
Oh, no. What if you drop it in between while bringing it back in? We need the slingshot. It makes it a little more fun, spooky season. If you can dodge candy, you can dodge a ball. I think you need the slingshot. It's important.
All right, Patches a little hand.
Okay, my next idea, I just think maybe this will just be for me personally. I don't think this is something that everyone should do, but I just think if you want to be the most popular house on the street, be a little timely and give out some mini hand sanitizer bottles or some nice antibacterial wet naps instead of candy. The kids will love it.
The kids will drink it.
I take back everything I said, Chet. This is a terrible idea. Not only are the kids going to drink it, but I've seen those TLC shows about people being addicted to weird things. They will get drunk when they drink that. This is a terrible idea. And imagine poor little Jimmy from down the street comes up, you pull out your slingshot, and instead of a nice little maybe popcorn ball that would be absorbed, you're shooting plastic sanitizer. He gets hit right in the eye socket with a Germ-X. Shut. This is terrible.
Not aiming for Jimmy's eye.
That's when it happens, is when you're aiming elsewhere.
Okay, I think that's a great idea. Okay, so next, I think they're obviously going to make some Halloween costume, like face safety masks. I mean, it's just, the market is there, right? Somebody just needs to do it. I think we should start an Etsy shop for like really creepy ones that look like your mouth is like sewn shut or like all bloody. Like I love when people's Halloween costumes are just spooky like that, and just make it really realistic, scare the kids when they come to your house.
I hate this idea. I
What do you
hate
mean?
it so much because it's not scary. Like the idea is right in front of you and you just missed it.
What?
The idea is you have such a realistic mask and you put it on and it looks so real, and it is just a human's face, but it's actually covering your mouth, but it's just a human face and it doesn't look like you have a mask on. Like that's terrifying.
So how is
That's why
that
it's
scary?
scary?
They'll just think you're
You
not
got
wearing-
COVID.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Luann kind of did that on the Real Housewives finale.
That would be the most terrifying thing ever if somebody
That
showed up
actually
to your
is a good
house
one.
without a mask on.
Okay.
I mean, maybe, but Shep, I like your idea. It's very creative. If people
Yeah.
face paint, now you don't have to. Just
Yeah. Okay.
know
One
what you
last
mean.
one. So haunted houses are obviously like not a thing this year because everyone loves when like those people that you don't know jump out and touch you and you have to sign a waiver. It's just like so fun. I think this year we should have VR haunted houses, and they can be, you know, things that are really scary nowadays. So like you're walking down a grocery store aisle and people are walking towards you. Someone at the table is across from you licking their fingers. You know, someone coming in for a hug. Close talkers, especially if they have dragon's breath like Greg. These are the simulations that would really spook people. And I think we should get into the spirit and all take part in a virtual haunted house.
or you could just come to my house and hang out with this witch, but you can't because you have to stay 6 feet away from me.
It's really hard to poke holes in this.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, haunted houses like aren't traumatic. What you're saying, if you got to watch it over and over again, is traumatic.
Yeah.
And like that's my only worry. But that is a gold idea right there.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that you guys like my ideas, and we'll have to test them out on Halloween and see how it goes.
Watch out for the Germex coming at your head if you go to Shep's house.
And we'll see you next week.
Woo.
Thanks for watching this episode of Marketing O'Clock. If you're looking for more, we release new episodes every Friday with all the digital marketing news of the week. You can listen and subscribe wherever you consume your podcasts. Or click to read all the articles from this show or watch the previous episode.